Hey, welcome to Plants Are My Therapy, and today we're going to be repotting and propagating pothos, Marble Queen Pothos. This is my favorite pothos. Just look at the coloration. It looks like a watercolor painting. I searched the island for this specific cultivar, and I finally found two in a Home Depot in downtown Honolulu, and I wish I bought both of them, but I only bought one, and it was growing well. But the things that I noticed about pothos is they grow well and then they die. I noticed that if you water them and you check them and all of a sudden they're dry, they're probably root bound. And I've been searching for another Marble Queen for months, but I couldn't find any. So when this one wilted, I got panicked, but I just watered it and it perked right up and it looks good. But you can tell it's not as growing as fast as it used to, and I figure it's root bound. So I'm just gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna propagate it, so I'm gonna have more Marble Queens, and if I have to give some away, I'll give some away. But actually I'm propagating for myself because I like this plant so much. I'm going to propagate this plant directly into soil. I usually start propagating them in water first and then put it in the soil. But you can actually put it in soil right away. You just have to make sure that you water them. Now, when you propagate pothos, you have to keep some of the stem on. I'm going to keep underneath each leaf. There's a little node where there's going to be a little root starting. So I'm just going to cut the pothos about half an inch to a quarter inch on either side of the node, and then I'm going to put them directly into soil. Now, since they don't really have roots, you're going to have to make sure you keep it evenly moist, and that's what I have a hard time doing because, you know, I work full time. I have now four grandchildren to watch, and you know, this is, thank goodness for therapy, thank goodness for YouTube, because now I can refocus my energy to other places and then be refreshed to tackle the responsibilities of the day. But you see how I'm placing this plant. I've done this probably hundreds of times before, and I just use a leaf to settle it down. I know some people, they make a little pretty little bouquet and put it in the middle. I'll make it pretty later. The first priority now is for these Marble Queen Pothos cuttings to root and survive. Once these pothos root and get established into the pot, they're pretty resilient. They can handle low light. In fact, the Marble Queen handles low light better than the Golden Pothos, but it doesn't grow as fast as the Golden Pothos. But I just love the coloration on these things. So after I put the potting mix in, I cover it with sand, and that's to help stabilize it, because every time I water it now, the sand is gonna mix with the top layer of the soil, and then it's going to make a little denser area where the leaf cutting won't just flop out, because I'm just going to put it down the slope under a tree where you get bright indirect light for a couple weeks to maybe a couple months until it gets really established, because actually plants get a little stressed in the house. So I want to make sure that they are very well established before I put them in the house. Now my potting mixture is about 2 parts of potting soil, 1 part of perlite, this is for drainage and aeration, a half a part of orchid bark or just regular wood bark, that's for drainage, aeration, and so all the nutrients won't flow out with the drainage water, and then about maybe 1 part of sand, and that's also for aeration. And as long as you don't pack it down when the potting soil is wet, I usually keep the potting soil moist but not wet, because if you pack down a wet potting soil, then it's going to be it's going to turn into a brick. This is the main plant that I'm just going to bite the bullet and repot. Repotting plants is very stressful on the plant, and they have a chance of dying, even though Pothos, I'm pretty confident with. They're not going to die. Um, but look at this. This is already root bound. This is why this plant has slowed down in growing. And if I don't do something now, if I don't repot it now, it might just die. So I'm just gonna untangle the roots, and all these long roots are actually not beneficial to the plant. It's actually gonna be a negative. So after I untangle it, I'm gonna trim off the roots to be shorter, so the roots will branch out and be more effective, make smaller effective roots to absorb nutrients and water. Otherwise, if I keep the roots long, it may just strangle itself. And then I'm just going to put it in fresh potting soil. I'm going to pack it in, but I'm not going to pack it in so tight. I'm going to still make it a little loose. And then I'm going to fertilize it maybe a week or 2 weeks from now. I just don't want to stress out the plant all one time. Usually pothos do not need to be fertilized, but all plants need nutrients, and I really love this plant. Pothos, no matter what cultivar, are very good plants. It freshens and purifies the air inside the house. It's easy to care. Unfortunately, the pothos, the Marble Queen, is related to the Golden Pothos, and in comparison it doesn't grow as vigorous, but it's still a beautiful plant, and it still purifies the air, and it still makes the house look great. When you water the plant, basically you water it when it's dry. Once this plant is established, it can handle a period of dry, and like I said, I didn't water it until it wilted, and I just watered it thoroughly, and it perked right up. And so this is a really good plant for beginners. This is an important thing to mention. This came from the same plant. This branch already reverted back to the regular green, so I propagated it thinking, oh, it has genetics to become a Marble Queen, but it's just green. Do not buy any cultivar that reverted back to its original color. Anyway, these are the plants that I've propagated. This is the mother plant that I repotted. The 3 in the front are the ones I propagated just now. The green plant on the top left is one that reverted back to the original plant. I strongly suggest that you do not buy a plant that has reverted back to its original color. I know on the internet they're selling certain plants that they said reverted back, and the implication is that it's going to turn back to what it was. But if you want a Marble Queen, don't buy a green one that's reverted, because it never turns back. It's been months and it just stayed green. These are all the pothos that I propagated. I propagated a lot. If I have all my things out, I'm just going to do everything one time. Anyway, this is my presentation about my Golden Pothos. It's a beautiful plant. If you find one, you're gonna love it in your house. It's easy to take care of. It's not as easy as a Golden Pothos, but I think it's much more beautiful. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate all you subscribers. Thank you so much. Please like and subscribe, and well, aloha.